Oh, thank goodness there don't be nobody on here at first. Okay, as I say that. Hey, y'all. Usually I'm okay with it being quiet, but I feel like I need to listen to something until I get started. What's up? So we're gonna be talking about getting unshy. It's gonna be the masterclass, and I'm going through all the steps that you need to build your personal brand. So there's 5 steps that you need to know. It is. Let's see. I can bring the book. Actually, it's right here. So there's 5 steps to it. Let's see. I can flip through the pages. So if you're building your personal brand, you're trying to get unshy. The first step that you have is the heart and the mind. That's backwards, but it's okay. We're going to keep on going because I'm not flipping the screen right now. You got your heart and your mind. Then you have identity. The heart and the mind. Actually, let me go through real fast why all of these different ones are important. Hey, Kayla. Let's see. So the heart and the mind, thank you for tapping. The heart and the mind talks about your experiences. It talks about happy Tuesday. It talks about the things that you have endured, the things you've gone through in your life, the things that you experience that happen that shape the way that you think, the way that you move, the way that you may or may not take action on the things that you think about or dream about. All of that is packed into the heart and the mind. And actually, since we're here and we're talking about this part, I feel like the heart and the mind is the piece that a lot of times people don't realize how much our decision making comes from the way that we feel, the way that we have the experiences that we've had. No, I'm talking about, so today I'm going through getting unshy. So it's going to be a 3-day series. Thank you for asking that question. There's going to be a 3-day series, and getting unshy is my personal branding program. It's a framework that you use to build your personal brand, and it's specifically designed for the people who are used to being behind the scenes. It's for the people who are used to downplaying who they are. It's for the people who are used to dreaming these big dreams, but for one reason or another, they're having a hard time taking action on it. And so this program is designed with those kind of people in mind, and it helps you to own who you are, be bold, be courageous, and have that confidence to know that what you're doing not only is impactful, but is necessary. So we're going through that whole framework today. Well, not the whole thing. We're going through part of it today. Thank you, Next Level. It's good to see you. Thank you for gifting, y'all. And if anything that I'm saying is resonating with you as I go through this, make sure that you tap the screen. Tapping is clapping. If you feel led to gift, you absolutely can gift. Just so you know, throughout this, I'm going to be doing this for 3 days. So I'm going to be going live today, tomorrow, and Thursday. What's up, Blam? Those 3 days, I'm going to be going live at noon Eastern time, and we're going to be going through literally the entire framework. Okay, like literally every step. So if you're listening in and you're able to, I would definitely take notes, and I would just jot down the things that you're getting as I'm talking about it, because I'm like going through the entire program in 3 days, which kind of sounds like wild when I think about it, because there's so much to branding, but also it's really simple. It's just that the big thing about branding is that it's a lot of repetition, and it takes a lot of practice, and a lot of times it takes some redirection because of how we are, especially as creative people. Like, we'll be doing something and then we'll be like, oh, but then I could do this and I could do that and I could do this. Like, it's very easy to get taken off track and lose focus. And so branding really is like very repetitive. It's not complicated, but it can be challenging to stay on course. So that's what I'm here to help you do. We can get excited, but so discouraged too. Yes, thank you for the follow, Chef Dayke. Dayke DK. What's up, Yoni Culture? How are y'all doing today? So yeah, I'm getting like my energy together. So y'all bear with me. because it's raining and I was like, oh, gotta teach. But not because I don't love doing it, but I gotta start moving and get into, I gotta start moving my body. So that's why I'm a little slow right now, but I'm gonna pick it up once I start talking, y'all. I promise you. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be going through today. So we're gonna be covering the heart and the mind today. We're also gonna be covering identity today, which are like the heaviest ones. And those are usually the parts where like we kind of have to revisit it. Like that's the part where it's like if you're ever getting off track or if you feel like you're kind of drifting away from the original plot, those two sections are the ones that you got to go back to and revisit it. So yeah. Yes, thank you. I need all of it, y'all. Just send the energy, literally, not even, I mean, definitely good energy, but just literally, I just need the energy. I need the energy. So I put on my concealer today so that I don't look like I didn't sleep. Even though I did sleep, I just don't know what's happening. I think it's just the rain. I just don't be doing good in the rain. I don't. Okay, so let me tell y'all something. Thank you, Kayla. I appreciate that. I do have the light inside. And I'm going to keep on smiling because that helps. So the other day, I was on a live with a friend of mine, and she is a self-esteem coach. And so she has recently, this past couple of months, gone, like she's literally like blown up. Like she's gone viral like multiple times. She's grown her platform from like 14,000 to over 100,000 followers. Like she's been hosting these boot camps and taking on clients for self-esteem. And she's really been doing well, right? And so recently I saw her, I was scrolling through, hey Tashi, I was scrolling through her live and I saw that she was crying. And I saw that she was crying. And so I was curious. I was like, okay, what's happening? Like, what's going on? And so I stopped in to listen to what was happening. Thank you for joining the team, Tashi. And so, hey, African Mage. And so I was listening to her talk through like what was going on. So to just give y'all like a quick story, because it's really not my story to tell, but she told it publicly. So it's not like I'm like sharing privileged information or nothing like that. So she had been crying because there was a family member that had reached out to her online, and there's a history of SA with this family member, right? And so seeing this family member like show up, like basically like nothing had ever happened, and like they were good and they was close, like, like literally like popping up like we good like that. It was a triggering thing for her. Like it was a moment where she was like, it kind of threw her off, especially because it was so sudden. And it turns out that she had also been doing a fast. And if anybody has ever fasted, especially for spiritual reasons, y'all know that a lot of stuff starts coming up and fast. Like you start feeling really vulnerable and like sensitive to stuff. Things start just popping up randomly that's happening. Like it can be a whole experience. And so knowing, just like understanding from that perspective, like how raw it can be, I was really like, curious to hear what had been going on throughout this whole fast. And so it turns out that she had recently started to shift her content. And so this is where the branding starts to come into play, y'all. She had recently started shifting her content. And instead of talking about self-esteem and helping people to grow their self-esteem, to see themselves as worthy and valuable, which, of course, leads to people doing incredible things. Instead of focusing on that, she started shifting her message slightly. And I'm telling you, like, it literally was like a slight shift, right? Yes, views also dropped. And so there was a slight shift in her messaging. And so instead of talking about self-esteem, she was talking more about money mindset, right? Which, if that's what you do, That's cool. I'm not saying that there aren't spaces and people that need to talk about money mindset, but knowing her and seeing the way that she was talking, I was like, that doesn't seem like it lines up with what you were doing originally, So, like, what happened? And so I'm still listening, I'm still watching, I just kind of like wanted to get a full scope of what was going on. And so during this fast, she also had to offer a bunch of refunds. She was like, I've given more refunds to people than I have since I started doing this, which was another, like, signal for me. And I was listening and I was like, okay, this kind of sounds like a purge. Like, it sounds like you're being like things are being purged and that you're going in a new direction. Like your direction is shifting. Or not even like necessarily, but like like a redirection, right? And like, how many times have you been doing something and all of a sudden, like, you start to notice that, okay, what I started off doing is not really what this is looking like anymore. Like, it almost feels like it makes sense what I'm doing, but something about it feels like I kind of like took a turn somewhere. Like, and I know I can like think of multiple times where I've done that. Like, I start doing something and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? Like, I talk about branding. Why am I over here doing a cooking show? You know what I'm saying? And this is not for the people who the shift is necessary, right? This is for the people who were seeing success and were seeing growth in the direction that they were going in. And then you start shifting seemingly out of nowhere. But in reality, there's something that set you off. There's something that triggered you. And I'm going to get to that in a second in this story. Okay. So y'all just keep rolling with me on this. And so she had offered all these refunds. She had this family member that where they have this history of SA, and now they're popping up out of nowhere. And then the last thing that she said, where I was like, oh, okay, let's talk about this. She was saying that she had family members. So she had siblings. Her siblings were basically like harassing her online, right? And so the history that they have, the history she has with her siblings is very troubled. Like, they didn't really get along. There's a lot of like, kind of like crab in a barrel kind of mentality. And so seeing the success that she started to get and the notoriety she was starting to get from talking about self-esteem, it set them off. It set off her siblings. And so now they're posting things about her, saying that, like, basically like discrediting her, saying, who do you think you are to show up and do this and do that, like really like putting her down. And so because she already knows how things are with her siblings, she was not following them online, right? Like, she wasn't connected to them in any way. But there were people who are, mutuals with her siblings and herself, who were then relaying this information to her. And so now she's getting the information about what they're saying, even though she isn't even the person that was like following them, right? So like, all of it's becoming really messy, really triggering, and it's becoming a lot. And the thing that is important to note is that all of this started happening like almost at not even the height, because she honestly is still growing, but there was like, she was really starting to get, like, she was getting podcast experiences. Like, I think she was a guest on a podcast, she was telling me, and she was about to teach a class. And this information was given to her an hour before she had to go into the class, right? So y'all see the timing. Like, y'all see what's happening. All of this stuff is happening at very strategic points in her career. And so she's breaking all this stuff down, and she's talking to me. And so I started asking her some questions. I was like asking her, I was like, okay, for one, have you been feeling off? Like, have you been feeling like you need to get into some kind of like realignment? Have you been feeling like there's a shift or, something like that, right? I asked her a series of questions just to get a good understanding of what was happening and what was going on. And so that was how we got to the point of her talking about her siblings, her sisters. And like, if y'all know y'all got siblings, y'all know that they got the stuff that they can say that can really set you off. Like, I know for me, like, there's some stuff that my siblings can say to me where it's like, they just like know, like, we know what buttons to, we grew up together. Like, we know what buttons to press. We know what to say. We know what to do. Right. And so there's a couple of things that I can get it from that perspective, right? Like, people who know you the best, the most familiar with you, it is really hard for them sometimes to see you excelling and growing and accept that this is who you are now. And so I'm listening, and the thing that set her off, because all of this stuff happened about like a month prior, the thing that has set her off was seeing, hey Mask, was seeing her sibling talking about her and discrediting her, right? And the thing that was important that she said is that she didn't process what happened. She didn't process what happened. She didn't like, she just kind of like took the hit and then hosted her class an hour later. And she was like, that's the moment, that's literally the moment right there where I started to shift. And so then, because she felt like she had something to prove, right? She started feeling like, oh, let me show them, let me really like let them know who I am. That's where she started talking about more of the money claims, right? How much she started earning. That's when she started shifting her messaging from talking about self-esteem to talking about money mindset. That's where she started hosting like workshops and boot camps talking about this. That's literally that one moment, and not processing it shifted everything that she was doing. And somebody said that views were lowering. That literally, y'all, this is literally what was happening. Like, she started having, hey Palm, she started having less and less views. She started, like, her videos were not performing as well as they were when she was talking about what she was gifted and called to talk about. Like, literally all of this stuff started to be impacted by this shift that she made. And the shift started from a trigger. That's how subtle it is, y'all. That's how subtle it is. I'm talking about a friend of mine. She's a self-esteem coach. And she had a breakthrough moment. We had a breakthrough moment together a couple of days ago, where she realized that her business, she had made a major shift in her business. Not a major shift, y'all, sorry. It was a slight shift. She made a slight shift in her business, but it had like repercussions that she was starting to realize as she went on this fast. But that's how subtle it is. And so I'm sitting here and I'm listening to her like kind of have like this moment of breakthrough where she was like, oh my goodness, this is why I did this. This is what happened. This is why I made this shift. This is why I'm talking about this now. And so everything started to click and make sense. That was why, like, when she decided she was going to go on this fast and start to like get some clarity, she didn't know why she was going on the fast, right? But because I know her and I know what she stands for, what she represents, I could tell her what I was noticing. I could tell her what I was seeing. And so she started, like, that was why she had those clients that she had to refund. I was like, you refunded them because they were never supposed to be there. Those were never supposed to be your clients. They were not supposed to be the people that are like growing and working with you. This is a purge. This is a purge so that you can realize, oh, I made a shift somewhere. Let me get back into alignment. Let me get back on my Zoom. Let me get back to what I was talking about. Let me get back to me, because that's where the grace was. That's where the provision was. And that's where the people who need her were. That's what they needed to hear and see. Yes, exactly, Kayla. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So this is what I be talking about when I talk about the heart and the mind. That's why that's the first thing that I go to. That's the first thing that I talk about, because there are things that happen in our lives that are gonna be triggers for us. Like, the triggers happen, like, and the more that we know about ourselves, the more that we understand who we are, what's happened, why these experiences cause us to do these things or say these things or act this way. Understanding that can help you to redirect to your identity, to the original vision, to the original plot, to what you were supposed to do. Because, y'all, when you find what it is that you are supposed to be doing, and this is fluid, because your brand is like your brand is your identity, right? Your brand is the heart of what you do, it's the heart of your business, it's the heart of who you are in general, right? However, how that looks product wise, how that looks brand wise, how that looks service wise can change over the years. You can have multiple businesses and still have a brand that doesn't change necessarily. You know what I'm saying? But the thing that I want y'all to, like, really accept and get excited about is that when you are really on brand, when you're tapped into what you're supposed to do, when you're tapped into, like, who it is you're supposed to be helping, what you're supposed to say, there's this takeoff that people have that is just like, it's almost like that's how you be seeing those people sometimes who look like they're overnight sensations. But then when you go back and you look through what they've been doing, you was like, oh no, you've been doing this, but you just tapped into the right thing. You finally found what it is you're supposed to be saying, and now you're seeing the people who needed to hear it. You're seeing the results. You're seeing the money. You're seeing the growth. Like, you're feeling and experiencing, like, that joy from getting to talk about what you love, what you're supposed to be helping people to do. And so there's a sense of, like, a really deep understanding that you have to have, and that you have to continue to cultivate so that you can stay on brand. Okay? So I felt like that experience was like, it's like literally people watching how subtle it can be, how subtle the shift can be, how subtle the change can be, but also, like, the grace that we have to get back on track, to get back in where we're supposed to be going, get back into that vein. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Oh, actually, it won't, because my notifications are off. If you want me to answer it on live, it won't pop up. Unless if you're doing it in Telegram, let me know, and then I can look in Telegram. This is why it's important to check in with yourself. Yeah. And this is what I help people to do, y'all. Like, so, because sometimes it takes an outside person for you to see what's going on, because we're aware of our triggers, we're aware of what happens, we're aware of the things that can, like, set us off. But if we're not being diligent and mindful in that moment to process what's happening, what's going on, it can go off the rails very quickly, like, very quickly. And so, I was glad that, like, I say that to say, for one, if you do need that, that's what I'm here for. Okay. If I see people doing something that seems off, that seems like it's not what you said you wanted to do, that's not what you know you're supposed to be doing. Once I know, like, once you're on my radar, and there's people who can testify to this, like, once you're on my radar, I'm looking. Okay. I'm going to come and find you. Cause what are you doing? But also to say that it happens, like, that's like really what I want y'all to get. Like, I'm not sharing this story for you to be afraid or to be scared. I'm letting you know that it happens. So, like, being aware of what those things are, it can help you to retrace your steps, right? It can help you to be like, okay, let's wind this back because something feels off. Let me retrace my steps. Let me take a couple steps back. What's been happening in my life? What have I been going through? What's been going on? What am I feeling right now? Right. And so there's things that you can do so that you can kind of like check yourself as well, but it's something that you should be doing continuously. Like you should always be tapping back in, checking back in, saying, okay, am I really like, am I on brand right now? Am I moving? You, and you wouldn't say that. I mean, nobody's really gonna say, am I on brand? But y'all get what I'm saying. Like, okay, am I tripping? Like, am I doing the right thing? Like, it just feels like it feels off. And there's something else that I'm trying to think of, like the feelings, like what you can feel where when you feel like you're in alignment versus when you feel like things are off. Okay. So let's say for one thing that I feel, and y'all let me know if you've ever felt like this too. Like if you've ever done something where it felt like what I'm about to describe to you. So when I hosted this workshop, so Getting Unshy, that's the name of the program in case you weren't here when I mentioned it before. This program is called Getting Unshy, and it is a branding course to help you to build a brand that's sustainable, that's authentic, and that's profitable, okay? Like you basically making money being you. That's what I help you to do. And so I was teaching this class, this master class that I'm going through with y'all right now, even though I'm doing it in a different way, which is cool. I'm all right with that. But I was teaching this, and as I was talking about the oh, let me rewind. Sorry, y'all. Okay, here's how I felt before. Here's how I felt before. So before the workshop happened, y'all, I was so nervous. Oh my gosh. Like I was like there was a part of me, like if I'm being real, there was a part of me that was like, can I cancel? Cause I am so nervous. Like I just don't even I'm nervous, and like it just feels like like am I gonna mess it up? Like what if they don't like me? What if I can't help? Yes, Tashi. And that's like one of the things that you feel. Hey, Audacity, when you feel like that nervousness, but it's because like you want to do a good job, like you want to do well, you want to do good. That's a good sign, because that means that you care, that means it's important to you, and the results are important to you. And so that's one of the first things that you feel when you're doing it. And you can feel this when you're about to make a certain piece of content. You can feel this when you like, or maybe somebody brings up a topic that you know you can help them with, and now you're like, ooh, should I tell them? Like, I don't know. Should I say something? Should I talk to them about it? Like that nervousness, that nervous energy that you feel. Hey, Talisa, that means you are tapping into the right thing, y'all. Okay, so that's one of the first things that I felt. Now, the next thing that I felt as I got on the live and I started talking a little bit, kind of like how I did today. Like sometimes I got to defrost my personality, y'all, because when I start getting nervous, it's just like I kind of like shut down a little bit, and I'm like a little more reserved and like in my head and like feeling like I'm overthinking stuff. And so talking and just kind of like it being casual, like that helps me to defrost some. And so, but once I got past that part in the workshop and I started talking, I felt energized. I was like, I just want to keep talking about this. And then there's this thing and there's that thing. And then there's this. And let me throw this in there too. And I started to feel like I knew exactly what I was talking about. Like, and it's still incredible to me. Like, no matter how many times I do it, it's still like, no, but I did that. Like, I can actually help you with this. That question that you asked, that's a great question. And also here's the answer. Like those are the feelings that you start to have when you are tapped into the right thing. And then another way that I know is that after the webinar was over, I just felt like, oh yes. What else is there to do? What else can I do? Like I felt not depleted, but I felt like I had just like poured. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like I had just poured out, and I was like, oh, like that's great. Like I just felt like a good pour. Like it felt like, yeah, like not depleted. I did feel like I did some work. Okay. But I just felt like there's just like this energy that I felt afterwards. And so those are some of the signs of you being tapped into what it is you're supposed to do. And so, I want to make sure that I say this part too, because sometimes you can have like feelings of like, almost kind of like feelings of dread, especially if it's something that like is going to be a big challenge for you. You know, like it's kind of like stepping outside of your comfort zone a little bit or a lot of bit. You can start to feel almost kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I kind of mentioned that in the beginning, but the fact that you still are willing to try and do it is a good sign. And so I want to make sure that I make the distinction, because there are times where the things that you are doing that are not in alignment, and the things you're doing that don't feel good, you don't feel energized from it, but you feel depleted, or you feel like, oh, like, why do I have to do this? Like, what is this? And to be real with y'all, this is not me telling y'all to leave y'all jobs or nothing like that. But that was one of the signs for me that my job was like, the time was winding up on it. And it wasn't the same feeling of, oh, I'm just tired and, you know, it's early. Like, it wasn't those feelings, but it was literally like a feeling of, hey, Kuma. It was like a feeling of just like drained, and just feeling so unfulfilled, but also feeling like I can't even, I'm trying to think of a way to feel like describe this sensation, but it just like literally like it just felt like my time was up. Like it felt like the grace was lifted. Everything just didn't feel right. Everything it felt like no matter what I did, it was just like wall, 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 wall. Like it just didn't feel right anymore. And those are some of the things that you'll feel when you are out of alignment. Those are the things that you will feel when your time is, not necessarily your time is expiring. Let me not say that. But when you're out of alignment, those are some of the things that you'll feel. Like it'll just feel hard for no reason. Like no reason at all. And there's no relief, there's no reprieve. Like it just feels hard. Like it just feels like all my life I had to fight. Like that's what it feels like. And so when you get back into it, when you get back into that space, this is not to say that there won't be challenges and that there won't be things that come up that make it difficult for you to fulfill what it is you're doing. However, once you are able to do that thing, those are the feelings you want to feel. That's what you want to experience. And so that's the biggest difference between being aligned and being out of alignment. Both feelings wise, and then some of the things that you'll start to notice. So as I was talking about that, could y'all think of moments where you felt the feeling of alignment? Let me start there. I want to focus on the positive right now. Could you think of a moment or a time where you felt like you were in alignment? I know I saw Kayla's, you talked about that every time you go live. When you go live, you talk about your affirmations. I feel like, not even like I feel like, I know I've seen you do it before. You felt it too, 9/11? Yes. Like there's times in our lives where even if it was just for a brief moment, we felt that. Like we experienced that. It happened, it occurred. And this is one of the other reasons why, y'all, when you go through, so either whether you go through the Getting Unshy workbook, there's some people who have got the workbook. This is the workbook that goes with the personal branding framework. Whether you go through the workbook or whether you go through the program, like the entire, like the collective, there's space for you to process what's happening, to process what's going on, what you're experiencing. And there's this journal that I made that I feel like I might have to get back to it, because because I made it a habit of processing what I was feeling, what I was going through, what I was experiencing. Not only did it make me better as a content creator, it made me better as a business owner, but it also made me better just as a person. Like I was able to acknowledge what was happening just about every day. Like it was like a period of time where I didn't miss a day. Like I was tracking, journaling, like I was always processing because so much happens throughout our days and we just eat it and go. Like we just eat it and just keep on moving. And it's like, nah, fam, like we still got to talk about this because whether we talk about it or not, it's still affecting our decision making, which goes back to what I was saying earlier. The heart and the mind, we're always making decisions from these places, even if we're not acknowledging those feelings. Stuffing them down doesn't make them any less impactful. Any tips for shyness or nervousness about going live? Yeah, okay, I'll talk about that. That's a good question. I'll talk about that, and I will also get to Palm's question. So, the one of the easiest things to do, especially like for me, is I'm usually nervous before I get on live, y'all. Like it just never fails. It never fails. I was nervous before I got on live today. And one of the cool things about going live, especially on TikTok, is that unless you are one of those people who it has like you've been going live so often that people immediately like go into your rooms, there is a period of time where no one is here. That is your time to say whatever you need to do to get the words out. Like you can say, oh, I'm so nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous. Hey, Felicia, I don't know why I'm nervous. Like, breathe. Like if y'all ever popped in here when I'm first live, it's not on topic because I just got to get it out. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so like that's like a big one because like no matter how prepared you are, no matter how like organized your lives are, you're just gonna, some people just gotta defrost. Yes, Kayla, sometimes you gotta defrost. Another thing that you can do, especially because you won't get like any violations or nothing like that, play some music. Like there are times where I was about to play some music, but then people started coming in. So I was like, okay, never mind. But sometimes you can play some music, move your body a little bit, like get like the nerves out. And I'm not saying you got to do a whole full blown dance routine, but sometimes just having like that movement can help you. Another thing is standing up. So I was actually about to stand up before I started talking. But then I kind of like, I was okay once I started telling the story. But like sometimes like I'll get up and I'll just move my body. That's a good one too. Yes. Starting with prayer, like just like saying, okay, I'll give this to you, God, like whatever it is you want me to say, whatever it is you want me to do, these your folks. Okay. I'm just here to talk to them. That's something else that you can do. So there's a lot of ways to like release the energy and get it out. Another one that is helpful is to just start talking about like your day. So like you can talk about something that's completely unrelated to what it is you want to talk about, just to kind of get things going and warmed up. So if there are people that came into your live that you know already, what's something that you could think about that they did that happened? You know, what's something that, did they post a piece of content that you liked? Talk about the content. Saying, hey, you know what, Kayla, that video that you posted, that affirmation, that was a fire affirmation. I enjoyed that. Or you could talk about what you did, what you ate for breakfast. You know, just make it so that it's not so like stuffy and professional. And then also where it doesn't feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, because that can happen. So those are like a couple of different things that you can do. I've literally done all of those things. So yeah. Kayla says, I like to say affirmations to uplift myself and speak the energy into existence. Fire. I love that one too. So we got a lot of options. I have a vibration plate I have under my seat sometimes. I turn to help move me. I got to give me one of those, Tashi. If you have one that you suggest, let me know. No problem, African Mage. That was a good question. Okay, so here is the question. Do you want me to... Say this out, like read the question out loud. I guess I have to because I got to answer it. I wasn't sure why you didn't want to put it in the chat, so I want to make sure I'm not like throwing it out there or nothing. Yeah, when I tell you, Palm, that's the struggle for all of us. It's a struggle. Like we're used to protecting ourselves. We're used to a lot of us, we had experiences where we did have to be our protector. We did have to guard our hearts at an age where it wasn't necessarily fair, for us. Like we were too young to be trying to be everything that we needed for ourselves, right? So it's like it's a lot to it's a habit that a lot of us have to change in different ways, in small ways. So, don't feel like you're the only person that is struggling with that or like it makes you weird or anything. But yeah, so, oh, I got you. Okay, so you asked, what if you're too damaged to reach people? I don't trust myself, so I can trust someone else. So can I trust someone else? Okay, so here's what that's actually a good thing that you brought up, Palm. I don't know if you was here for the last live, but if you, okay, all right. Let me say this part first. And I mean this with the most love and care and empathy possible. I want to make sure I give that disclaimer. I don't know how to say this any other way. So I hope it's not too abrasive. But if you feel or believe that you are too, insert the blank here, you're too whatever to do what it is that you want to do or to be who you desire to be, what is it that you need to make those changes? What is it that you need to begin to see a difference? Like, that's the first thing I got to say. And the reason why I'm saying it that way is because, especially when we've had traumatic experiences in our lives, it's safer for us to go into victim mode. And this is something that I do too, y'all. Like, this is something that I still have to catch myself, because I'll respond to certain things, especially if it's something that triggers me, as a victim, right? And so when you've had these things in your life that have made it where it's safer for you to shrink, or it's safer for you to be the person that's hurt, that's in trouble, that's wounded, then it's difficult for us to grow in that mindset. Like, it's impossible for us to grow if that's how we see ourselves, and if we don't feel like there is a way out. So one thing that I have to do, even for myself, like, I got to think about it practically. Like, what does it look like practically to be the person that I want to be? One thing that I had to be real about, which is why I go live more often, is that when I felt like I was too shy to go live and like talk on camera. And this was back when I was doing, not even really shy, because being shy never really stopped me from talking on camera. Even if I was nervous, it never really stopped me. However, I felt like I wasn't good enough to be consistent. I think that's a better one. That one's more realistic. I felt like I'm too scattered, I'm too flaky, I'm too inconsistent to be somebody that can keep a schedule, or that can show up when I say I'm going to show up, or that can do what it is that I need to do consistently to grow, right? That was like a real life thought that I had, a real life feeling. And because of that, I just wouldn't try. Like, I wouldn't try. But I kept seeing how, if I want people to trust me, if I want people to see that I can do this, I first have to prove to myself that I can trust me. Like, I have to prove that I can do this. I have to start to do things to grow my trust, so that not only can I have that for myself, but that other people can see that I'm trustworthy. When I set a time, I'm going to show up and do something. Unless I can't, which I communicate with people, I show up at that time. I go and do what I say I'm going to do. And so even if it's not perfect, even if I still got things that I got to iron out, I still am going to show up. And that was something that I had to start to build for myself. But because of the kind of person that I am, I tend to make a lot of stuff content. So I was doing it. I literally was doing it as content. So y'all were watching me. If you knew me then, y'all were watching me literally practice being able to trust myself as I grow and become more trustworthy to others. And so for you, for anybody that's listening, you have to start to give yourself different ways to build that trust in yourself. The first thing that you have to do before that trust can be built is that you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself and you have to forgive others, which is, I'm so glad you asked this question, Palm, because this is literally a part of the heart and the mind. So this is such a good question. But the steps to forgiveness is for you. It is for you. And there are so many of us where our biggest hang up is the fact that we have not forgiven ourselves. Therefore, we do not trust ourselves. Therefore, our confidence is low. All of those things are connected. All those things are intertwined. I made this video one time where I was telling people that if I meet someone who is struggling with forgiveness, I can almost guarantee that person is struggling with their confidence. I'm trying to remember how I said it exactly, but I was like, people who can't forgive don't have high confidence. And I stood on that. And there were some people who were like, oh, well, what if I can't forgive? And what if they don't deserve my forgiveness? And all those questions let me know that you don't really understand why you need to forgive in the first place. That's all, like, what are we calling it? Low vibrational. That's all low vibrational behavior. You holding on to grudges, refusing to forgive, refusing to let things go, while it is your right to hold on to that grudge for the rest of your life. What is it doing for you? We do it because we feel like we're protecting ourselves, right? We do it because we think that if I gotta get vengeance, or I gotta be able to keep me safe because nobody else is gonna do it. All that's doing is closing you off from the world. All it is making it harder and harder for you to forgive yourself, is making it harder for you to trust that you can do better and make better decisions. All of it. And so we're so quick to say that we can forgive others, but when it comes to us, we're so hard on ourselves, and we're the ones that need it the most. You need to forgive you the most. You are the person that needs it the most. Y'all know that scripture where love God, love people as you love yourself. I'm paraphrasing, but that scripture where literally our ability to love, our ability to trust, our ability to forgive is tied to how we treat ourselves, how we forgive ourselves, how we love ourselves. Forgiving ourselves is an act of love. It's an act of care. And also it is a necessity. Like, we need to be able to get rid of it. We need to be able to let it go. And the great thing about forgiveness is that forgiveness is very practical, y'all. Like, there's literally steps to forgiving people. I had a therapist who taught this to me, because I didn't know how to forgive. And there was a year where that was literally like my word for the year was forgiveness. Like, forgiveness. Like, it was like nothing else. And the thing that was funny, y'all, is that around that time, I was also telling myself, I can't be trusted. I was literally asking God, like, how can you trust me with this? How can you trust me to do any of this? How can you trust me to show up for people? How can you trust me to lead people? How can you trust me to take these people's money and offer a service? Because that affects it too. Trust literally affects your money. How can I be trusted to be in a relationship? How can I be trusted to be a mom? Like there I was literally doubting everything. Like it was almost like it was wild. Like I was feeling like, what can I do? What can I do? 'Cause at this point, it just feels like why? Like why? And the thing that's so dangerous about that at this point, it just feels like why? Like why? And the thing that's so dangerous about that at this point, it just feels like why? Like why? And the thing that's so dangerous about that at this point, it just feels like why? Like why? And the thing that's so dangerous about that mindset, y'all, even if that's where you are right now, which and the thing that's so dangerous about that mindset, y'all, even if that's where you are right now, which is right. What purpose do I have? What purpose does my life serve? Like it can get so. What purpose do I have? What purpose does my life serve? Like it can get so. What purpose do I have? What purpose does my life serve? Like it can get so dangerous. So it can get so dangerous. So it can get so dangerous. So am I freezing y'all or am I okay? I just need like one person to let me know what's going on. And cried all this little makeup off. Am I good? It was lagging? Okay. All right. I see y'all comments now. So, yeah. If you didn't see Ashne, I did say hi to you. um, yeah. That it's a dangerous place to be, y'all. It's a dangerous place to be. And so that's why this whole idea of figuring out how can I trust? How can I build that? How can I become the person that I want to be? Who I know that who I have some feeling that I can be, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. I have to be able to be this person because my life depends on it. Like that's how slippery the slope can get. Okay? And I hope that y'all can kind of pick up what I'm putting down with that. Yeah. I think that with that, the biggest thing that I will start with is if you want to start to trust yourself, you got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive yourself. For all of us, we have to forgive ourselves. And in the book, in the workbook, there are um there's the option to forgive others because there it's not like the injustices that happened. It's not that everything that happened we've done to ourselves, but what happens is that we say that we can forgive other people, but we can't forgive ourselves. And I'm gonna challenge the fact that I'm gonna challenge the idea that can you really forgive anyone else if you can't forgive yourself? We'll say, well, this person, I can forgive them, but for some reason, I don't deserve forgiveness. That's not going to work. You need to have it, you deserve it, and you need it. Like, let's even take like the option out of it. You need it. You need to be able to forgive yourself, because everything else that you do is going to be tied to this. If you feel like you're constantly in a space where you're self-sabotaging, you feel like you're constantly in a place where like, I feels like I'm going in a good spot, I get so excited, and then all of a sudden it all fizzles out. Now I'm back here again. How did I get here? That's what it is. That's what's happening. We have to forgive ourselves. And like Tashi said, it is a daily thing. There's something that I can forgive myself for today. Every day. Every day we can forgive. And now I'm not saying that you have to go through this whole process. I'm about to tell you all the steps. If you have the workbook, if you have the Getting Unshy workbook, then you have these steps too. And I would encourage you to go back to them, revisit them, work through the steps, and pinpoint whatever it is that came to mind as I was talking. Okay. If you don't have the workbook, you can absolutely get the workbook. And you can also, if there's something that you want to work with me on, then that's where you can join the collective. Okay. Before I go into the steps, if you do want to be a part of the collective, if you've been listening and you're like, I want to build a brand that's sustainable, I want to build a brand that lasts, I don't want to be the reason why I don't have success or I'm self-sabotaging, whatever that is, I want you to, I wonder if it's here. I saw it somewhere. There's a way where y'all can DM me. And I meant to have this set up already, but forgive me, please, for not having this set up already. Can y'all see it? Is there something where y'all can DM me? Yes, you should be able to do it without leaving the live. You knew you couldn't say that in front of Tashi. Now be accountable and go. Hilarious. I don't see it no more. It was telling me at some point to pin it somewhere. It was telling me somewhere. I might have to figure that out next time, y'all. But if you are interested, you can still DM me, but I think you gotta leave the live in order to DM me, which I don't like that you have to do. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. I found it, y'all. You can DM me. I didn't know there's a timer on it. That's so much pressure. Wow. But you can DM me. Just DM me collective, and I will get you more information on how to join. So you can just literally just DM the word collective. Hey, David. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see the... Isn't it? So y'all can see it on y'all end. I just can't see it. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, it's up there. It's up there. I got to find a wipe because now I feel like it's just like raccoon all over here. All right, y'all. So yes, 9/11. Oh, 9/11, you were here before, right? You were here when I talked about Getting Unshy, when I went through the whole masterclass. Is that you? I feel like I remembered. I was thinking about you actually not too long ago. Yeah, nice to see you again. Welcome back. Okay, all right, y'all. So y'all ready for the forgiveness steps? Pre-forgiving is wild, Ashime. That's wild. Okay. So here are the steps to forgiveness. And if you don't have the workbook, you will get the digital copy of it when you sign up for the collective. I also am working on sending out, I have a couple people that I want to send copies to. So, cause I have a couple that's still left. So if you join the collective or if you're in it already, I'm gonna reach out to y'all to get a physical copy if you like a physical copy. So, like an exotic smoky eye, It's a crybaby eye. It's a crybaby eye. The only thing that's gonna complete it is like the puffiness that comes after crying. But yeah, this is the look. This is the mood to the makeup of the day. All right. So y'all ready for the forgiveness steps? So there's 4 steps, and if y'all want to write these down right now, I also I can't promise that. I can't promise that. Write them down. I can't make no more promises because I don't want to forget, and then y'all be like, Jada, you lying to me. Yeah, you do. You do. I can get you the physical copy if you want the book. My phone kept freezing, but I invited my mentees to this live for tips. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Yes. Okay. Well, if they make it in time, they'll be here in time for the forgiveness steps, because I'm gonna run through why the forgiveness is important, and then I'm gonna go through the steps again, y'all, just in case anybody wasn't here. So the reason why forgiveness is important, because the forgiveness leads to you being able to trust yourself, right? It leads to self-trust. The self-trust is important because the self-trust leads to confidence, right? And the confidence is important because you're getting unshy, which means you have to be confident in what you know. You have to be confident enough to get on screen, talk about what you do. The confidence is necessary for you to talk to people in person about what you do. It's not gonna work without confidence, right? It's not gonna work without confidence. So all of this starts with forgiveness. Did you really? Look, we tapped in. We tapped in. All right, so we're gonna go through the 4 steps to forgiving somebody, okay? So the first step is to describe a time in your life when an injustice occurred and describe how it affected you, okay? And so the term injustice is what happened that needs to be forgiven. And the cool thing about it being called an injustice is that it leaves it open to like interpretation in a way. This could be something that you did to yourself. This could be something that somebody did to you. This could be something that you did to somebody else. Like it's just an injustice. Something happened that was either wrong or it was perceived as harmful, hurtful, whatever it is. And so the things that this can describe are painful emotions, so anger or shame. It can have changed your worldview. An example of that is people are evil. If you believe people are evil, you definitely have some forgiveness to do. Change behavior. An example of that is avoiding new relationships. Cognitive rehearsal, which is recurring thoughts of the injustice. So if it's literally like playing in your head, it's on a loop, you telling yourself this story over and over again, that's a sign. If there were like practical costs, so if it cost you time or money, and then also physical harm. So if there was injuries from some form of abuse. So these are all things that are injustices that would require forgiveness, right? And so the next step to that is for you to, so once you describe that time, once you have that written down, this works best if you write this stuff down. Okay, don't just think it, actually write it out. Write down what the injustice is that occurred. Step 2 is to ask yourself the question, what are the pros and cons of forgiving the person, even if it's you? What are the pros and cons to forgiving the person that wronged you? The next question you want to ask is, how might things be different if you decide to make the decision to forgive? For me, I'll go back to the example that I gave. Hey, Nessa, the example that I gave about not feeling like I was consistent. Because I was afraid that I couldn't commit to something, right? And this live today is a perfect example. I scheduled this live out. I made content promoting this live. Shout out to John and his homework that he gave us. And I showed up prepared for this live, right? Everything that I needed to do to honor the commitment that I made. Jada 2 years ago could not even imagine this. Like, you scheduled a live and then you showed up for it. And then now I'm seeing the numbers like 13. That might not be hundreds, but that's a great number to me. That's great. And it's been consistently around like that 10 to 13 mark in terms of how many people are in this room. So that means that the steps that I took to market this live worked, because I decided that I was going to honor the commitment. And so forgiving myself for the times in the past where I didn't show up when I needed to, forgiving myself for the times where I was flaky, because I was the flaky friend, like I was. And my friend like really had to like confront me on that, because we would make plans and I would just like flake out on her. Right. And she was